matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they war. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one makes countries laugh to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social side, they don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See their shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one makes countries laugh to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Okay, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is Rock the Boat right here on UCY.TV. And I'm your host for the next hour. And what are we going to talk about tonight? Let's see. I was up at the hospital this afternoon. I had to go for ultrasound on my shoulder from my little deal at the courthouse when I got, dare I say, viciously attacked from behind and ripped the shit out of my shoulder. Just want to get the ultrasounds in. This is my fourth trip to the doctors. And then we're going to do some suing on these monkeys that take an oath to serve and protect. The only problem is they take an oath to serve and protect the Queen, which is at the apex of the political and legal systems, which is the corporation known as Canada. And they don't like you bucking at them too bad because you're supposed to be a good little slave and just do what you're told and don't ask any questions or we're going to have to run your ass over. And that's just the way it is, but we're going to change it. We just got to live long enough to do it and stiffen up our spines a bit and get it done. Anyways, while I was at the hospital today, which is used to be our hospital. We built it, we paid for it, but it's been privatized like every other damn thing here. And used to walk in the reception area. There was no glass in the openings. There was two openings and two desks, and you would go in and say what your problem is or whatever, and they'd deal with you. And then once it was privatized, some basically bulletproof glass went in with a hole in the middle. And I don't go to the hospital very often, but I see now they have like a voice thing in the hole in the window now. It's like it sounds Borgish, and that's where we're at now. But I don't have a TV, and I haven't had a TV for a long, long time, so while I was waiting, they had the All News 24/7 channel on, whatever that was, and they were doing this thing about O.J. Simpson's being paroled out of jail. And I thought, well, geez, this is interesting because people are parole hearings all day, every day, everywhere across our nations. And but it's all about celebrity. And I don't know what's going to happen. He got paroled, I guess. He wasn't, but when I get home, I was rooting through some news, and I see he's been paroled. Gets out October 1st or something. And so I don't know what they're going to do with O.J. Simpson, if they're going to use him to promote some UN agenda. Is quite possible because of his celebrity. So look forward to that. O.J. Simpson promoting global warming or LGBTQ or Black Lives Matter. Who the hell knows? But I got a bad feeling that O.J. Simpson is going to redeem himself and be a spokesman for world government or something. Hope not, but there's a great possibility that's going to happen. Now, they say liberalism is a mental disorder. Now, I just posted something in the Facebook here about, they have a LGBTQ czar now at the UN to help promote their rights over your rights. And, I'm so sick of this liberal conservative crap. It really truly makes me want to puke. Because if people are still running around in that left-right crap, then your brain ain't working properly yet. Okay? Your brain ain't working right. Okay? There's a reason for left-right, and that's to divide and conquer. The nation that's split in half is conquered. Because now you got the people fighting against themselves all the time. Now, they're always complaining about the left, and it's not the left. It's the establishment, okay? And they're terrorists. I don't care if they're right or they're left, they're terrorists. Every single local government, town, city, municipal, whatever you want to call it, is all implementing the globalist agendas and globalist law, international law, at your local level, right where you live. Right where you frickin' live. So you're being destroyed from the inside, just like, I forgot what his name was now, said way back when. The enemy is inside the gates and has been for a very, very long time. And they go at it one piece at a time. We got to shut down the coal and the oil, and we got to use renewable energy and all the flakes. And they tend to be liberal-minded, the flakes. Don't get me wrong there. But that's just one portion that's being used. Now, what I put in my post in the Facebook a while ago was that understand that everybody's bitching about the left. We had 8 years of Obama. We've got this flake here now. I just call him Tinkerbell Trudeau. Now, his father was wrapped up with who was Prime Minister of Canada, who turned the country into a secular nation, which got this whole ball rolling, really, because it took the norms out. It was the beginning of the end of norms. But it was, make no mistake about it, it was Brian Mulroney, Brian Mulroney, and Bush. Two conservatives, North and South. It was two conservatives that signed our nations on to UN Agenda 21. It wasn't the left, it was the right that signed us on to it. Okay, and then Clinton came along and did a what do you call that? Presidential order, whatever they call that, forcing the implementation of the Agenda 21, UN Agenda 21, which Bush signed on to, and then it was Clinton that took it after that and made that's an executive order to force it to be implemented all throughout the systems of the United States. The schools, the churches, the local governments, and away we go, right? So there is no left or right. There's just a lot of evil SOBs that are really sick, and I'm getting to the point now where I'm believing that, or I'm thinking that we're not that far off from mass lynchings. We're not that far off from the gallows coming back out in the town square, because every town council is guilty of treason at the highest level against the people or the nation, which is the people, by implementing all these globalist agendas, running people out of the rural areas, either by taxes and or fracking or renewable energy schemes or whatever, closing down gas stations out in the rural areas, closing down stores and that, pushing people out of the rural areas into the cities. And this is treason at the highest level because they're not telling you what they're up to. And the media is not telling you what they're up to. And the schools and universities aren't telling you what they're up to, and so on and so forth. So I really don't think that we're that far away from a cleansing that is badly needed. And I think it was some of the forefathers, I forget who it was, but said that every now and again we need to cleanse this and take our government back, because their governments have been taken from us. They're not our governments. They don't do anything to support the nation. They do everything to support the globalists, and that needs to be cleansed out. I was kind of thinking about there was a Paul Revere that ran, the British are coming, the British are coming. Well, the British ain't coming, the UN's here. You don't have to ride through the thing and say the UN's coming, the globalists are coming. They're here and they got complete and total control of our nations. And even back then, when they didn't have TVs or radios or anything, they still managed to spur their people on. That we got a problem, we got to tackle it. Got to put an end to it. We need to cleanse our nations. And again, I'm not a violent guy, and I don't really want to see anybody get hurt. But if I look at the number of people that have been hurt and the nations that have been destroyed by these globalists to date, I think it's about time we consider taking the gloves off. It was Warburg back in 1950. And it was Warburg that was involved in the founding of the Fed. Or A. Warburg. And it was the 1950 Senate hearings where Warburg stated very specifically, we will have world government by consent or by conquest. The only problem is they can't bomb the West. They don't get away with that. And therefore, they're doing it through consent. Oh, renewable energy is wonderful. No, it ain't. It's a fraud. But you propagate a lie hard enough, long enough, pretty soon, people believe it. Oh, we need this because of global warming. Well, that's a fraud as well. But you propagate it enough from every angle into everybody's brain. I mean, people can't get away from the noise. They get up in the morning, turn on the TV when they're having breakfast. They get in their cars, they turn on the freaking radios. They get to work, the radio's on. Or you go to a doctor's office, the TV's on. You can't get away from this shit. So eventually, through osmosis, people accept it. They consent to it. They're silent to it. And silence is consent. So we consented to the destruction of our nations. Not too freaking bright. But see, way back when we didn't have all this propaganda coming at us, people had some sensibilities about them. They knew right from wrong. And the idea with this new humanism nonsense is there is no right or wrong. Well, if you're running from a start point, if there's no right or wrong, it ain't going to be too damn difficult to shove the propaganda down your throat and get you to believe it. Now, there are people that are anti-LGBTQ who think renewable energy is great. There are people who think global warming is phony, but love the idea of renewable energy or the LGBTQ. So they fraction the society into so many bits and pieces fighting against each other, they can't survive. And we got to come to terms with that. Now, here in Canada-stan, communist North, I always wondered why we had so many red sunsets up here. It's over. Take down South America, right? They're taking down the Union flags. They're taking down any semblance of the Union and that. It's bad news. And up here, we out west, they put a great big stainless steel statue of Stalin with a little mouse sitting on his head. Called it art. It's propaganda. We're both being flooded. The West in general is being flooded with Muslims, which is absolutely backwards to our founders. Absolutely backwards. And then you got people going, well, they're just like us. No, they're not. They want to kill us because we're not like them. But yeah, we've got the churches and the schools and the media promoting all this nonsense. We even had a little show up here after they took the Lord's Prayer out of all government institutions, be it the schools or the legislatures or local councils, and they let that ride for a while. And then all of a sudden, the Communist Broadcasting Corporation, known as the CBC, funded by the people of this nation, fires up this lovely little show, because they had one down south called Little House on the Prairie with Michael Landon, and it was, I guess it was a pretty popular show, and so they fire up here Little Mosque on the Prairie, and promote how wonderful the Muslim people are, and they're just like us, and yada, 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 yada. And then they got a void, so now they got to fill a religious void, so now they're teaching the little kids that didn't know anything about the Lord's Prayer because it wasn't in the schools when they got there, and now so they're teaching them that Allah is who they need to profess their dedication to. And I don't know what point we're just going to say enough is enough is enough is enough, and we're done with this. Now, the Muslims wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the globalists who started the UN. The Muslims wouldn't be here if our leadership was actually our leadership, okay, and not minions of the globalists. So we wouldn't have a Muslim problem. So where'd the Muslim problem actually come from? Like, I don't give a damn about the Muslims. I don't give a damn about the LGBTQ. I could care less. Just don't stick it in my face. And, don't be parading naked around on the main street of Toronto. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Bring your little kids and then look at these old people parading around naked on the street, right? And then this nonsense of a child from birth on is a sexual being. I mean, that's just pushing the pedophile message. And all coming out of the UN or the Rockefellers, or well, you just go to any of these NGOs or any of these, but it's mainly the tax-exempt foundations that use their tax-exempt money to fund the factions of whatever particular thing they want to push at any particular time. And the idiots, the useful idiots, grab onto this, and they always have facilitators, but to push this down at the local level. But it's not the problem of facilitators, because if the people had any sensibilities about it, it wouldn't matter what the facilitator said; it wouldn't happen. So people have been totally dumbed down to a point where they're really getting stupid. But not everybody's stupid. Not everybody's brain dead. And so, we're going to have to be the Paul Reveres, I guess, And we're going to have to shout it from the rooftops. We have got to get engaged, because silence, again, is consent. And we have been so freaking silent, it is pathetic. And it needs to stop. So anyways, up here in Canada, Stan, we have a new Governor General coming in. And this is how this operates. Now, we had a lieutenant governor before this one, and that was for the province of Ontario. And I don't know all the lieutenant governors, and I don't know all their backgrounds, but I live in Ontario. So the lieutenant governor prior to this one was a guy by the name of David Onley, whose claim to fame was he's a weatherman. I think he did a little talk show or something, was part of a talk show sometimes, but basically he's a weatherman. Now, what the hell's a weatherman doing signing off the legislature as in place of Queen? How'd that happen? How does a weatherman becomes the signer off of the legislature to sign it into law? Well, the beauty of David Onley is David Onley was in a wheelchair. And during his time as a lieutenant governor of Ontario, there was a big push on, again, this comes out of the UN and that, this is all the empathy stuff. And his entire purpose here in the media was to open new wheelchair ramps into public buildings and that. Okay, it was just straight propaganda. It was about accessibility. And that was what his reign was about. And then he got out, and then Elizabeth Dowdeswell is the new lieutenant governor here in Ontario. Elizabeth Dowdeswell was mentored by Morris Strong / Rockefeller crew. And Strong was the head of UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program, and so Elizabeth Dowdeswell took that over from Morris Strong and said, let's just, she there's a video out there, so she's sick and tired of this what? Yeah, incrementalness, doing things really, really slow, which has been doing for many, 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 many decades. It's like you don't really see the paint dry and you don't really see the grass grow, but it both happen. And she's fed up with the incrementalization, so she just wants to get it done. Let's get it done. So now we have all this environmental crap coming through here, all this UN crap, because we have a UN minion sitting here signing the legislation into law. Now, we also now have our new, I think she's been appointed now, Governor General, which is at the federal level. And if I can dig her out here, she's an astronaut, for crying out loud. And astronauts know everything you possibly could want to know about running the government and about legislature and all that kind of stuff. So I guess that's why it was so important that we get an astronaut as the lieutenant governor. Now, where is that? I had a whole bunch of this stuff open on her. Okay, where am I going to get that? Let's go here real quick. Should be able to dig it out here. There she is. So we have a lady by the name of Julie Payette, or Payette, P-E-T-T-E, Payette, appears poised to launch into the Governor General's role. Now, this woman, she ran over a lady somewhere and killed her in the States. There's some problems here. But she also was charged with a non-felony charge against, but she was charged with assault. But all of that has been wiped off the map. It's gone. They can't find anything on the computers or any paperwork on this assault that she was supposedly involved in. But what the hell? We need an astronaut. And I would think that what we're going to start seeing here is probably because I think it was Ronald Reagan and there's so many names running around in my head here. What's that Jewish sucker? Anyways, both of them said that if there was an alien invasion, then everyone would look to the world government to save them, right? So her being an astronaut, and I know they're playing with this idea of aliens again, and have been for a long time. They're propagandized through all the movies and that. So I wouldn't be 100% surprised if during her reign as Governor General, we start to see more UFOs in the sky, so to speak, and do a little fear mongering here. But the interesting part about her is that, let me see if I can get back to, yeah, she was in a fatal collision and stuff, but I don't apparently somebody walked out in front of her or whatever, but future Governor General involved in fatal collision months before assault charge in Maryland. Now, she was married to airline tester or something down in the States, I believe. But anyways, when I looked through her, she went to a school, and you always got to worry about these schools and stuff. And this is the what's it called? The United World College, I think it's called, I think it's college that she went to. And when I look at this thing, the founder was Kurt Hahn, who was a Jewish German who started these schools. And we've all heard about diversity in that. And so at the heart of the UWC's distinctive model of education is deliberate diversity extending across entire community. This is a vital component of every UWC school and college. All students will benefit from learning in a diverse environment. And then we have the nonsense like the UN logos and that, peace and sustainable futures, selfless leadership, social, experimental learning, deliberately diverse, engaged, and motivated community in pursuit of the UWC mission. So there's a lot of people wondering why this astronaut got propelled to being the Governor General of Canada. Well, because she's a player. Simple as that. Simple as that. She's an absolute globalist. And she's going to push that agenda, just like everybody else is pushing that agenda. So there's nobody going to be there signing off legislature into law that's going to say anything. And that's what I mean. It's time that we think about cleansing our nations of these lunatics. Now, the United World Colleges, of course, is attached to the United Nations, and there's a global education movement that makes education a force to unite people, nations, and cultures for peace and a sustainable future. So I'll throw this in here. so that you can take a rip through it if you want, or don't if you don't. And if you're just listening, you can just punch in uwc.org and go through this, and you'll see it's all attached to the UN and is pushing the UN agenda, which is a globalist agenda, which is a world one agenda, and that is the death of your nation state, because we can't, and it's all international law. So they're just writing international law like a pig that supersedes what you think is your law, which isn't really law anyways, because it's all done by lawyers, which is legal, which is the opposite of law. Okay, so, and legal by definition is adversarial, and adversary, when you look it up, says Satan. Okay, so we got a bunch of extremely evil people working to destroy the minds of the children, kill off the people as soon as they possibly can, and have their world government, of which they will own or control everybody, everything, every resource on this planet. And the starvation will begin, because these are the same freaking Marxists who took down Russia. These are the same Marxists who starved out the farmers in the Ukraine, millions of them. And these are the people that wish to rule your lives. They rule your lives now, but not to the extent they intend to. You know, so far they've poisoned the mines, poisoned the food, poisoned the water, poisoned the skies, filled everybody full of pharmaceuticals, or filled the countries full of street drugs, and so on and so forth. And then made all these factions that are fighting against each other in all of the nations. And this is what we have to fight back against. And if we don't, well, so they got staff and everything in here. I'll just throw this in, and you can look through it if you want and see what you can attach it to. But see, you know, people are going, oh, look, we're getting this new Governor General. Isn't that sweet? Oh, she's an astronaut. Isn't that? Oh, it's a woman. Isn't that great? You know. And these are all, what do they call it, succubus or whatever they call it. You know, and they oh, isn't that wonderful? It's not wonderful at all. But nobody ever goes checks these people out. You know, if I say I could ask. I don't care. I could do a poll. I could walk down the street here. In fact, I could walk this entire town. I could probably walk 10 towns and knock on every freaking door and say, do you know who the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario is? And I get a blank stare. No. You know? But they can tell me who won on the latest game show, or they can tell me who the singer is that's advancing in America's Got Talent or whatever else has got talent. But the simplest thing, this is a difference between now and in the past. People weren't subjected to all the noise. They had sensibilities about them. They understood right from wrong. That's why it took 2 world wars, not 1, but 2, to get the UN and Israel in place. Because it was the First World War that brought us the League of Nations, of which Canada couldn't wait to sign on to, because Britain had been taken over by the Roman Catholics again by that time, and the Vatican. And so that's who's running that show. So we signed on immediately to we were founders of the frickin' League of Nations. And the boys that brought America the Fed, right after that, they wanted America to join the war. And the American people said, no way. And Wilson, who signed America on to the Fed, was running around America desperately trying to get America to sign on, but the American people said, shove off. We still have enough sensibilities, and we understand why we fought the War of Independence. And to join the League of Nations is to give up some of our sovereignty, of which we have no intention whatsoever of doing. So that didn't work. But the bankers in that told Wilson, you better get out there and push this, son, because if you don't, and we don't get what we want, there's going to be another world war pretty shortly. And Wilson actually went out and told the American people, if we don't sign on to this thing, in the not too distant future, there's going to be another world war. Now, how the hell would Wilson know that? Except he was told that. Okay, you signed the Fed in, son, now you better go get this done. And he failed. Israel turned down in I think it was North Africa, they were offered a place and they turned that down. And so we get another world war. And the time between the First World War and the Second World War is when the federal education program came in. And that's where they took the sensibilities out of the children. They tried to remove the history of why he fought the War of Independence. And the same propaganda process has been going on ever since. And in the end, after 200 million dead people thereabouts, the UN and Israel. So these people that created these wars and killed the 200 million people, do you think the people that created the UN and Israel give a damn about how many more people they kill to get what they want? And if we're stupid enough to give them what they want, then damn it, we get what we deserve, annihilation. You talk to your child or your grandchild and say, well, I know what's going on, but I ain't got no spine. I'm a chicken shit. And when I die, you're on your own. That's really sad. That is so freaking sad. But that's what we've become, apparently. You go to any city and there's people living all over in the streets. There's people living in the parks. How the hell could that possibly be? One of the reasons is the globalists took all your jobs and moved them to the east. And they're spending all of your hard-earned money, so-called money. That money's not being spent where it needs to go. It's being spent on these pie-in-the-sky schemes, the fracking schemes and the solar power schemes and the windmill schemes and all of these stupid schemes. And, you've got the United Nations. I mean, that's the easy target. The United Nations is sitting right on your own freaking soil. And that should piss every American man, woman, and child off to no end. I mean, while DC's evil as hell, I mean, you've got the epitome of evil, the United Nations, sitting on your soil. Now, they didn't take down the United Nations in 9/11. They took down the Twin Towers, but they didn't touch the United Nations. That little bit of thought. You need to go over there and you need to get a a steel saw and just start cutting all them damn flagpoles down around that place. Why is there all these flags on American soil? Any foreign flag planted on your soil is a claim against that soil. There can only be one flag on your land, and that's your flag. Anybody else's flag ought not to be there. But there they are, flapping in the breeze. Na 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 na. You don't get it, but we're taking you down from the inside. You know, the whole Rockefeller clan, they were always put up as these wonderful people. Why, it's the Rockefellers donated the land for the United Nations. Let's hear it for the Rockefeller clan. Yay! Now we're going to have peace on the earth. Now that we have the United Nations, and we're so happy to have it planted here on our soil. Thank you, Rockefellers, again, for that beautiful donation of land to the United Nations. It's really sad. It's really freaking sad. But, you know, I may be a crazy optimist, but from where I'm sitting, we're going to win. Because we're supposed to win. And the only reason we don't win is because we're going to be sitting on our fat asses, sucking a beer and eating a pizza, watching some stupid show on TV, ignoring what our forefathers couldn't ignore. You know, I mean, I love this thing. I was looking at this thing of Shakespeare with the, you know, first kill all the lawyers. Now, if you go back in history, who was really not wanted on these lands? The Roman Catholics, the Jews, and the lawyers. And what's running everything? The Jews, the bankers, and the lawyers. You go back far enough in history, if a lawyer showed up in a colony town, they ran them the hell out of there. But being the weasels they are, and evil can't do its bidding as long as good stands in its way, and law is good and legal is evil. But if you let your guard down to evil, it's probably going to get itself in a position where it can deceive you. And then they control you. And then they control every aspect of your life, every aspect of your nation. And evil has one purpose, and that is to destroy. So the good laid down and got silent and consented to the evil that grew and grew and grew over all of this time, until you have men and women going, well, there's nothing we can do about it now. What a sad freaking statement. You know? Home of the brave and land of the free, or however it's said. I don't know which one goes which way, but you know, I'm looking at my brothers and sisters in America and here in Canada. We got to get it together, folks. You know, I was talking to a couple of Indians. We stopped over at the courthouse yesterday to pick up some stuff, and there was two native guys standing out in the steps of the courthouse, and I always like to find a little humor wherever I can, and I said to them, I says, I was going to get a disc, and said to them, I says, you know, it's a good thing you're here today. And they look at me and go, why? I said, why, today's 2-for-1 sale here at the courthouse. Plead guilty to one charge and they'll let the other charge go. So it's like a 2-for-1 sale. But I got talking to them and found out what reserve they were from, and we had a very good chat about history. We had a good chat about the fact that it wasn't the whites that genocided the natives. It was the corporation that genocided the natives. And the same genocide is taking place today against the rest of us. And your cities are now your reserves. And they're trying to run us out of the rural areas into the cities because we're still got too much movement, too much personal freedoms, as far as movement's concerned anyways, in the rural areas. And they don't like that idea because that's a threat. But, you know, we had a really good conversation. And when I told them about the lady from the same reserve they're from, that when I asked her if she understood the plan for Whitey, meaning everybody that's not native, and it still blows me away. It was such a short little thing, but it was so spot on. It still kind of gives me chills. So she just nodded her head, yes. And I said, how come you get it so easy and talking to Whitey like beating your head on a wall? She said, simple. We lived through it. Now it's your turn. The same corporation that destroyed the native communities and the native societies and stole their children and put them on the reserves is the same damn corporation, except that corporation now is global. And they're going to do the same thing. They're already pretty much done it. You know, if you talk to a kid now, I mean, they believe all this crap that's being sold to them. And it's just getting easier to sell it to them. It pops up on their cell phones. They're watching it when they're 1 year old before they ever get to school. So they look at that for 3 or 4 or 5 years before they ever get to school. They're already, so when they get to school, it's already been driven into their heads through the TV set, of which mommy and daddy don't seem to understand what they're watching. So by the time they get to school, the kids are primed for whatever garbage is being fed into their heads. And that's theft of your child by the state. When you think about how much time a family actually has with their child compared to the time the state has with the child. Child wakes up, gets fed, heads out the door, comes home, does a little homework, whatever, maybe play outside a little bit, does his homework, has supper, whatever, off to bed, and back to the state. And they got mommy and daddy both running their asses off, trying to keep a roof over their head, trying to keep toys for the kids and all the rest of the stuff they've been sucked into. And they don't seem to have any clue whatsoever what's being shoved into their child's heads. But then generations have come through the state schools. And each generation is worked a little better, a little harder, and but the generation that came before has been screwed over as well mentally, and maybe that's why they can't see what's going on. But if you do care about your kids and your grandkids, then it's time to sit down and take a really hard look at what's going on. So anyways, this is our new Governor General. I guess she's in now, apparently. But this is our new Governor General. And so don't step out off the curb if she's driving by, because she may run your ass over like she did the other lady. Killed her ass dead. But you got to be careful about these people. Because these people in these positions seem not to have any capacity to understand right from wrong. These are the people who get those jobs, unfortunately. And this is the UWC, and I'll throw this in there as well. Now, there's a bunch of other stuff I could stick in here about her, but this seems to, I mean, this is the school she went to. I think she went to this school in Wales, and I see there happens to be one in on the west coast of Canada now as well. I forget how many of these schools are multiplying. But then you have the UNESCO schools too, which are everywhere, and they say that the UNESCO schools are a laboratory, and they're bang on with that idea. They are laboratories because they practice their pitches. They see what they can use psychologically to get the students to push their agendas in that. And once they, in their UNESCO laboratories or schools, then they push that out from there into the other schools. And that's how they operate. And we just sit back and let them do it. You know, we just can't seem to stand up and get in their face and ask some hardball questions and stuff. I don't know why our forefathers would have done it. I mean, think of. I hope there's some, military people listening to this, or police listening to this, or ex-military, ex-police. You got a duty, boys. And the duty is to your people, not to the government, but to your people. Now, all of you families that sent people, or all of you vets that were somewhere under the idea that you were defending your nation, I know a bunch of you have a different attitude towards that now. You understand that you got hosed, you got conned, you got deceived. And when you get home, you notice you're not as important as they said you were before you left. All of you people need to stand together. We need an army. We need, I don't want to ever see our two countries become one, as the NAFTA boys not doing that. But I do believe that we are so closely related, the peoples of these two nations, that we need to work together, not against each other. And we need to get our police forces and our military people, and especially our veterans, to come together. Because the whole idea is that you're supposed to protect your nation, and the enemy is inside the gates. It's like Cicero said, and I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said something along the sense that, a standing army is less to be feared. A standing army at your gates is less to be feared, because you know what the hell you're looking at. You're looking at the enemy, as in the British are coming, okay? You can identify your enemy. But when the enemy's inside the gates, has it been inside the gates for well over 100 years, closer to 200 years. When the enemy's inside the gates, it's more difficult to differentiate friend and foe, which makes it much easier to take a nation down from the inside than it is the outside. So spiritually and psychologically, you're being worked over. And it's made a lot of very weak men and women. Now, the funny part is, I don't want to rag on the boys or nothing, but I would think that about 75% at least, might be higher than that. I'm thinking up in those numbers anyways. I never went through them, but I'm thinking that like the 3/4 range on my Facebook are women. And they're really pissed, and they've been spurned, so to speak, and they're not happy campers. And we need the guys to get on board as well. We need to get a little more feisty than we have been to date, because if we don't, they're going to push us against the wall to the point where we can't really fight back. We have a very good position to fight from right now. But if we remain quiet like this, then they will get what they want to get, and it's basically the end of us and the end of your children and your grandchildren and so on and so forth. So I guess we'll just sit back and wait to see what OJ promotes when he gets out in October. I hope I'm wrong on him, but I got a funny feeling that O.J. Simpson, when he gets out of there, is going to become, just like he was for, I think, Hertz rental cars way back in the 70s or whatever. He's going to be promoting something to do something with the UN to tell his owners that he's now going to do as he's told when he's told. So I think that about kills this show. And everybody, just go to sleep tonight with that British are coming through your head. But the UN ain't coming. It's already parked on your land. And again, I don't want violence. I don't like violence. But we do need to cleanse our nations of these despicable, evil, don't know the difference between the good and evil and right and wrong. We need to castigate these people. We need to hold them to account because they're in a conspiracy to destroy us. And that gives us the okay to go ahead and round them up. So that's the end of it. This is Thursday, Saturday, backward.
Selling lies and buying time.
So everybody take care. Have a great night.
Lower classes, social slime. They don't matter. Genocide. Sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back. It's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids. No one makes countries laugh to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives.
My name is S.M. Gibson, and I am the host of Anti-Media Radio on UCY.TV.